Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Rotoballer Radio Waiver Wires series. I'm one of your hosts, Anthony Aniano. Happy to be with you as we take a look at the waiver wire for Week 7 at the running back position. Guys, don't forget, go subscribe to the Rotoballer Premium Pass. Save money using the promo code ACES, as well as hit right here and subscribe to all the great action on Rotoballer Radio's YouTube channel or wherever you listen to the Rotoballer Radio podcasts. All right, so Week 7 is almost upon us. Big injury in Week 6, it looks like. Kareem Hunt, non-contact injury to his lower leg, calf, hopefully not an Achilles. Already with Nick Chubb out, that's a situation for Cleveland. And the fact that they play Thursday night against Denver, a quick turnaround for that Cleveland Browns backfield. We also have 6 teams on bye Week 7. Buffalo Bills, no Devin Singletary, no Zach Moss. The Chargers and Austin Eckler. The Cowboys and Pollard and Zeke Elliott. The Jaguars and James Robinson. The Steelers and Najee Harris. And the Vikings and Dalvin Cook. So we're scrambling this week, potentially, ladies and gentlemen, for viable running backs. And you know what? We're not looking for explosion. We're looking for a floor. Maybe get 10 points out of some of these players on the waiver wire. Let's start in Cleveland, okay? With the injury to Nick Chubb, hopefully he plays Thursday. Kareem Hunt, we're uncertain about his status. But we have D'Ernest Johnson and Demetric Felton. Okay, now Felton's interesting. Wide receiver and running back eligible on Yahoo. Only 2% rostered. His strength of Felton's game is catching the ball out of the backfield. I wouldn't expect him to be the 3-down back. I would expect him with Johnson in a timeshare situation and primarily be the pass-catching back for the Browns if both Chubb and Hunt are out on Thursday night. Felton did have 2 receptions for 14 yards, but really wasn't a factor in Week 6. But again, the injury to Kareem Hunt was late, okay, causing some interesting developments on the waiver wire potentially for Week 7. Now, as far as the 3-down back goes, or 2-down back goes, assume it to be D'Ernest Johnson if Nick Chubb doesn't play. So if you have Nick Chubb on your team, you have to try to, or Kareem Hunt, you have to make a move for D'Ernest Johnson. He's been the guy here and there. I believe there was a game last season with injury where D'Ernest Johnson had a decent game. You may have to put in some fab for D'Ernest Johnson if you have Hunt and Chubb or Chubb on your roster. Kenyon Drake of the Raiders, 53% rostered, but kind of comes back from the dead. Coincidence with John Gruden out? I don't think so. All right. Has a small role. Josh Jacobs still the primary back, but nonetheless, Kenyon Drake 4 for 34 on the ground, 2 catches for 39 yards through the air. Okay, and he gets 2 touchdowns, 1 on the ground, 1 through the air, 21.3 fantasy points. Interesting to see if he maintains some type of role going forward now with the coaching change for the Las Vegas Raiders. It's his first game with 10 or more fantasy points since Week 2, okay? But the coaching change can change everything for Kenyon Drake as he kind of assumes the role we thought he would have all season long. Devonta Freeman of the Baltimore Ravens led all running backs with carries for Baltimore. It was only 9, okay? But what's the mess of the situation is Lat Murray, Lev Bell, and Devonta Freeman all had a rushing touchdown for the Ravens against the Chargers. Nonetheless, Freeman had the most carries with 9, 53 yards, got in the end zone, was targeted twice, faces Cincinnati. Do I recommend putting a lot of fab in that? No, because we know week in and week out it could be a different situation with those Baltimore Ravens and their running backs. Lamar Jackson's their best running back. And then with 3 other running backs, Lat Murray is still the number 1 guy. Freeman, Bell getting in the end zone. It's not a great situation. But again, with all those teams on buys, with injuries, okay, you may be scrambling. Devonta Freeman, only 2% rostered. Same with Mark Ingram. Do I love it? I really don't. But he did have 18 carries in Week 6. 73 yards, 2 receptions for 8 yards. It was a 10-point game. On the road against Arizona, brutal matchup. Arizona could steamroll this one against Houston. Go all in with your Cardinals. Okay, but his 18 carries, second on that Houston team, was Phillip Lindsay with only 7. So again, with 6 teams on bye, injuries piling up, you have a running back who's going to get the ball 15 to 20 times. You have to pay attention to him Mark Ingram, only 32% rostered. You want to PPR him to death? I've said it before. J.D. McKissic of the Washington football team. Game script allowed him to be targeted 10 times, 8 receptions for 65 yards, 3 games over 15 fantasy points. And game script could dictate that again next week as the Washington football team is on the road against Green Bay, and that defense is not playing well for Washington, especially their secondary. And Aaron Rodgers can have a monster game. Game scripting, J.D. McKissic being targeted often out of the backfield. And finally, Ramondre Stevenson of the New England Patriots. His role has increased significantly over the last couple of weeks. 11% rostered. Damian Harris is still the guy. 17-point game. He had over 80 yards and a touchdown. But Stevenson, 5 carries, 23 yards, and a touchdown. 3 receptions on 3 targets for 39 yards. 15.2 fantasy points facing the Jets next week. All right? So I put the Ernest Johnson number 1 because he has a chance to be a 15-carry running back if the Browns running backs remain out. Demetric Felton in a PPR format in Cleveland. Devonta Freeman, Mark Ingram, J.D. McKissic PPR him to death. Kenyon Drake, especially if you have Josh Jacobs. And Ramondre Stevenson, who's only 11% rostered, should all be on teams at this point. All right, everybody. Give me a follow on Twitter at Aniano Fantasy. Make sure you check out all the great Rotoballer Radio content here on their YouTube channel, including the wide receiver and quarterback tight end waiver wire series shows. Have a good one, folks. Stay smart, stay safe. We'll see you next time right here on Rotoballer Radio.